Well, welcome back, viewers. This is James Com, guy on the bike, and today we're going to drop in here at Sideshow, and we're going to do a walkthrough of this show with this gentleman, Tom Evans. Okay, don't get too relaxed. You're going to have to come up and work with me on this. Okay, so this is Tom's latest show. Does this show have a title, Tom?
Yep.
What's the title?
The title? No.
Title of the show.
No, it doesn't.
It's just recent paintings.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the show, Tom.
Okay, this is one of the more recent pieces. This is done within the past few months.
These are all oil on canvas, right?
All oil on canvas.
Well, I do have to say that I really enjoy your color. You really have gotten some nice, pure, transparent colors going in there. That purple is very nice. Give us a little story about your history. You've been painting in New York for...
I moved to New York in 1970.
1970. From Minnesota?
From Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
I've been doing very minimal paintings there, and all gray. And then I moved to New York, and I spent 6 months looking for a studio, and I finally found one way downtown. And I started...
That was about the beginning of Soho, right?
Yes, and I started, but I couldn't afford Soho even then. I was paying $90 a month for a little place that now doesn't exist anymore, it's turned out. But so I started just trying to come up with something new, and I was mixing things and experimenting, and I started...
that was the pieces using the metallic
yes,
powders and things like that?
And so I was throwing everything together in those.
What's the title of this piece?
This one is Hurricane.
Now, you also were saying that you had met some of the, I guess what you would call the New York School painters.
Well, I met
Herman Cherry and
I knew
Ed Dugmore.
I knew Ed Dugmore pretty well. They both came to the University of Minnesota, and so did Michael Goldberg. And when
Michael Goldberg.
I came to New York, and he exhorted us to get out of Minneapolis and come to New York. So I showed up.
And you were dumb enough to follow his advice.
I showed up with a truckload of paintings, and he let me store his paintings for 3 months while I was looking for a loft. He introduced me to a lot of people, and I knew Doug Moore because he had been in Minneapolis, and I knew Herman Cherry for the same reason. So I had a few contacts, and I within a year I was selling work and showing. And
Now, and you recently, I guess it was a couple of years ago, you had a show where they pulled out some of the metal paintings, the metallic pieces. Let's take a look around the back room too.
In the early 70s. And those were shown, some of those were shown at Mitchell Albans. One day,
right.
Maybe I'll have a show of, I showed maybe 5 paintings there, and got a great review from Roberta Smith.
And those paintings were done when?
Those were done in 1970, 71, and 72.
Okay, so we're talking about 40 years of paintings now that we're dealing with the front end and the back end.
That's right.
Now, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was that you were talking about knowing some of these New York school painters. Do you feel like you're kind of carrying on the legacy of abstract expressionism or the New York school?
I call myself an abstract expressionist with a small a and small e. I see myself as part of that group, but I see myself as a New York painter, and therefore part of the New York school, which continues. And there's still anybody living and working in New York who's a painter is probably part of the New York school.
But you do sort of retain the gestural abstraction, the kind of spontaneous paint handling, kind of the free-flowing, almost jazz-like improvisation of forms and things like that. Would you say that's accurate?
Absolutely. But years ago I was driving and I heard somebody talking about art on the radio, and they said anything is permissible except except abstract expressionism. Anything else is okay.
Is that Clement Greenberg was talking
No,
about
this is
that?
after that. And I thought, well, you know, this is a way of painting that goes way back. I always admired Haim Soutine, and I admired
Sure.
Impressionists, and I admired El Greco, and these are all roots. So,
But you're keeping your paint a little thinner, you know, and one of the things I like about the colors, a lot of this is transparent color, because I don't think you could get quite the same kind of intensity if you were doing it with body color. So in that way, I kind of, I really admire this kind of rich use of color.
this is what I've been trying to do, and I was doing these paintings in the 80s. They were really labored, and a few of them turned out okay, but one day I thought, I've got to do something different. And I was talking to Jerry Horn, and he said, why don't you just get in and out fast? Just do them as quickly as you can. And I thought, interesting idea. And I started doing small paintings, but doing 3 or 4 a day. And
Wow.
I kept doing them, and they got better and better. And after about 2 years, I started getting some really good ones. And
So you only had to do 50,000 paintings in
Yes.
between there.
I threw the others away, but then I started working larger, and as at a certain point, they started getting a little stilted and a little overworked. So I went back and started thinking, I just have to keep working fast and loose, and that is what these came out.
I guess a certain amount of the energy is caused by the risks that you're taking, and that kind of keeps you from getting too, I guess, stale or too stodgy.
I try to avoid any formula so that no two paintings really look that much alike. You know, you can sometimes you look at somebody's work and you see that they have a formula.
Yes.
I start out with a simple pencil sketch.
Oh, you do sketches on these first.
Well, I'll just
Or you start with a study.
come up with some little, but then I'll draw with a pencil a little bit, but it never ends up the same thing when I go into it, and it's just a way to start.
I think this is one of my favorite pieces in the
People
show.
like this one a lot.
I kind of like the more angular, jaggedy forms.
This is actually the most recent, possibly the most recent, well, one of the most recent ones,
Okay.
along with one in front. And
Did you see the de Kooning show?
I did, yes, I did.
What do you think of de Kooning?
I like him. I think he's.
You like him. We all like him.
I'll go back again.
Like him. Okay, Tom. Well, thanks for giving us a little walkthrough. So this has been Recent Works by Tom Evans here at the world famous Sideshow Gallery. And there's the proprietor, Mr. Richard Tamperio. You got a Christmas show coming up soon, right?
That's right.
Okay.
It's all about to happen.
We're going to see how many thousands of artists we can squeeze in this year.
How many we can get in.
Okay.
We'll test the space out.
Thank you, Kate.